All right, everyone. Mitt Romney is like literally the poster boy for greasy car salesman. If you look that up online, I'm sure you'd find a picture of him in the dictionary. So he's still doing the never-Trumper thing, but he's too much of a coward and he's too much of a backstabber to say it flat out. And so instead, he always chooses a workaround for plausible deniability purposes. Like lately, he called Bill Weld a great guy. Now, Bill Weld is challenging Donald Trump. In the context of saying this is the same context of him challenging Trump in 2020. Now, does Trump have to worry about a primary challenge from Bill Weld? No, absolutely not. There's a 0% chance that Trump won't be the nominee unless he is seriously impeached, like they actually find criminal wrongdoing, impeach and remove him, or he suffers some major health crisis, or he chooses not to run. Now, he's already made it clear he intends to run. But I mean, he could change his mind tomorrow and say, well, I've had enough. I don't want to be president anymore. Fuck off, basically. It's possible. It's not likely. There's a 99% chance Trump will be the Republican nominee and go forward into the 2020 general election. He doesn't have to worry about Bill Weld even getting 5% for the most part. It'll be funny to see what actual markers there are, and he'll keep up with it. I mean, he makes money doing that. He gets to have his name out there and say, well, I stand against evil Drumpf. And basically, there are still a few million never-Trump Republicans, just as there are never X, Y, and Z Democrats who won't back. Like, there are plenty of never Bernie folks. And mainly in the Rust Belt, which would be a big problem for them. There are plenty of never Bideners. There are plenty of people, never anybody else. There are always going to be people in your party that dissent. And for them, there will always be alternative candidates that are willing to sign a book, and they're willing to give a speech, but you have to pay them, and they're willing to shake hands and go to the venue and go to the cookout and stuff. It's fun. It's civics. It's politics. It's something some people are into that sort of thing. It's exciting to them. Bill Weld's an older dude. It's sort of, I guess, his last hurrah or something like that. Maybe he sees it as. You'll remember, Bill Weld swore up and down he would never be a Republican again because he was the running mate for Gary Johnson in the last election. And that's the other thing. He's going to feel it's a mighty betrayal to people who flipped over to vote for the Libertarian Party. I think they'll become never-Welders, and they'll be like Trump's strongest core fan base, which will be funny because it ties in with sort of the Ron Paul, Libertarian Lite sort of movement within the GOP anyway. But Mitt Romney's done this before. Like, he'll say like backhanded shit, and he'll be very passive-aggressive, but he doesn't. It's like when they were talking about impeachment. He's like, well, no. It's obvious that the things that I read in the Mueller report bars right up. The Mueller report was disturbing to me, and I think Trump definitely, he has some explaining to do and stuff. But no, I'm not seeing impeachment. I'm not saying impeachment. I'm just seeing some stuff that concerns me. Totally backhanded, fucking passive-aggressive bullshit. Just come out and say what you really feel. Mitt Romney likes to choose his car salesman, fucking greasy corporate lawyer words very carefully so that he can appear to be on both sides of every issue so nobody can be too mad at him. The problem for old Mitt is that nobody is really too pleased with him at any given time either. He's not going to win any brownie points from like the Democrats or even the Never-Trumpers for saying that Trump is he's kind of dubious and I have kind of a problem with him because all of those people want impeachment, and Romney hasn't backed that, mainly because he wants to keep his job. Although at his age, it's like, how many Senate terms do you think you're going to have, dude? Why? Once you're that old and that rich, can't you, dedicate yourself to some, self-led, write another book, fucking buy another car elevator. It's funny to compare him to a used car salesman since doesn't he have, 6 fucking cars, a garage at his house with a literal elevator in it and shit? If your garage has 2 stories, my friend, you have more money than sense. Interesting pun, by the way. Spelling related. Sorry about that one. Dad jokes, can't avoid it. Mitt Romney's a nut. And the thing is, he's a shrewd politician. He did manage to get in the Senate. He was the Republican nominee 2012, although he ran a shitty campaign. He was a candidate for the Republican primaries in, 2008, I think, actually, to run against Obama. And he came in, I think, 3rd. He didn't do too poorly. If I remember, he was 3rd, or was he 4th? I can't fucking remember. It all sort of runs together. I remember, McCain beats the shit out of him. These elections, though, they have a lot of people who are very similar in them. Like Romney running several times, Clinton running several times. You see these sort of perennial faces, and they sort of line up, and they try to use one campaign to flesh out the next. Like, they lose the first time around, but they still have some of their offices and staff and donors and activists and stuff. They got some favors owed to them maybe. They spend the interim time making money. They set themselves up. They enter early the next time around and hope for a better result. Sort of what Romney did. Certainly what Clinton did. But I mean, this is a total backhand to Trump. What else do you... Yes, I'm going to declare that his challenger is a great guy while disparaging the sitting president, who I happen to not like. The reason why I think is slightly personal. For Mitt Romney, it's a little bit more personal because Trump has actually used it as an issue while campaigning for political reasons. Like, hey, the corporate Republicans can't win. Look at Romney, but I'm different. I don't need, donors and shit like that. I can self-fund, so fuck off. Ha ha ha. I'm not beholden to special interests. It's a great selling point during the election. I think Romney also feels sad because Trump is so much more wealthy. Mitt Romney, I don't even think is quite a billionaire. I mean, he's massively wealthy, but he's not Trump wealthy. There's a difference between having $100 million and making several $100 million a year just in rent from your properties. It's a big difference. That's his bottom line income after taxes, too, or so it seems based on what we have seen of his tax returns. Maybe it makes Mitt Romney feel sad, like Trump won the presidency and is like 100 times more wealthy, and I just feel sad, so let me disparage him and be sort of a gutter snipe, so to speak. I hate Mitt Romney. Hated him back then. He's one of the reasons I could never be a Republican, is people like Mitt Romney in the Republican Party. I mean, dear God, get these people out of office. The Mitt Romneys, like the warmongering, McCain types and Lindsey Grahams on one end, moralists, and kick out all the neocon like shysters like Mitt Romney, who basically tap dances around every issue and just is greasy and underhanded. If you got rid of them, the remaining Republicans would be pretty great. You'd have a bunch of people who are like a Constitution, like Ron Paulites, and then you'd have populism, and then you'd have some vaguely center-right sort of business-like people who nonetheless wouldn't be like Mitt Romney. Be a pretty winning coalition. By the way, you could grow that coalition because if you get rid of all the morons in the party, other people will join you that are kind of only on the fence about wanting to be Democrats. You'd have a much better platform. Some of the center left, like the business Dems, would definitely join the Republicans. It totally changed the electoral map. You need to do something like like the Nixon Goldwater people did back in the day. And force a paradigm shift within politics. You need to change your strategy. Trump is trying, but he's being obstructed by all the Mitt Romneys, the outdated Republicans of the party that still want to go on the cable news and play nice with corporations and shit like that and occasionally bring up my Jesus. That's basically what they do. That's a losing strategy. It doesn't work anymore. You need to adopt new strategies and listen to people like Rand Paul and Donald Trump. That's about all. Peace out.